Today on Bridge City News, Hurricane Dorian has left hundreds of thousands without power in the Maritimes as the now somewhat weakened storm heads towards Newfoundland. Thousands are homeless in the Bahamas in the aftermath of Dorian. Troops as well as Samaritan's Purse have arrived to try to minimize the casualties. And actor Tom Hanks attended the Toronto International Film Festival for the premiere of his new movie, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Paul Arthur.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. As Dorian moves toward Newfoundland, the cleanup has begun in the Maritimes. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power in Nova Scotia, many of them in the Halifax area where the storm uprooted trees, ripped into roofs, and pulled down power lines as it slammed ashore last night. More than 370,000 customers are without power, while outages in New Brunswick and PEI are affecting tens of thousands more. 700 Canadian Forces personnel have been deployed to help with the cleanup effort. The Bahamian government has sent in more than 900 members of its police and military to Abaco and Grand Bahama Islands to deliver hurricane relief, and both the U.S. and Canada have sent in military personnel to assist, and the government has also specifically asked for help from Samaritan's Purse. The Christian relief organization has already delivered several loads of equipment and supplies and are also setting up a mobile hospital.
For the past week, Hurricane Dorian has been gaining speed and power and coming through the Caribbean, and it took a turn to the Grand Bahamas September 2nd, and then just kind of stopped right over top of the Grand Bahamas, specifically Freeport, and just caused a huge amount of devastation. So some of the needs, of course, are food, clean water, shelter, tarp. We saw that the hospital in Freeport was flooded, and so we want to be able to just assess those needs and prioritize what is most important. We're planning on having numerous trips with the DC-8. It's a short distance, so that is a huge blessing for us. And we're just really, really blessed to have this asset to be able to help people right away. We really appreciate your prayers, specifically for the people of the Bahamas, as they're just devastated and in great need right now. And also just for your support and your prayers for our team, as we want to meet those needs as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Reports say more than 70,000 people are homeless following the hurricane. Fort Macleod RCMP, with assistance from Lethbridge Alert and the RCMP Emergency Response Team, executed a search warrant on a residence in the town of Fort Macleod today. Two people were arrested, a 34-year-old male from Fort Macleod and a 27-year-old female from Coots. A number of drug-related charges are pending. No further details are available at this time. There were fewer summer jobs in southern Alberta for the month of August. The unemployment rate for the Lethbridge Medicine Hat area came in at 7.1%, up from 6.4% in July. But we are still faring better than cities like Calgary, Edmonton, and Red Deer. Across Canada, there was an increase in the number of jobs with 81,000 new positions, although the majority of those were part-time. Cottonwood Park on the west side of Lethbridge will be closed starting tomorrow over the next few weeks as the city makes improvements. That will include repairing the parking lot and adding more parking stalls, widening the pathway and changing it from shale to limestone, and installing new stairs, handrails, and fencing. The park should be reopened by the end of this month. Climate activist Tzipora Berman says threats and attacks against her have worsened after Alberta Premier Jason Kenney launched his $30 million war room. Berman said that she has received death threats and was physically assaulted in the Edmonton airport by a man angry about her campaign to close down the oil sands. A spokeswoman for Alberta Energy Minister Sonia Savage says the government does not condone any form of abuse towards private citizens or elected officials. Manitoba Progressive Conservatives are promising new money for the environment as the provincial election campaign heads into the final days. Tory candidate Rochelle Squires, who is Minister for Sustainable Development, says her party would spend $30 million to build active transportation paths for walking and cycling if re-elected. She also promises a ban on recycling material in landfills. NDP leader Wab Kinew says his government would undo some of the health care reforms undertaken by the Tory government and would also spend more money on roads and water treatment projects. Mississauga teen Bianca Andreescu has made Canadian history. The fast-rising tennis star is the first ever Canadian to win a Grand Slam title. The 19-year-old upstart beat Serena Williams, one of the game's greatest players, in straight sets in yesterday's women's final at the U.S. Open. She was cheered on by proud Canadians watching in homes and bars across the country. Tula Bateman, Vice President of Fund Development with Tennis Canada, says the win is having an inspirational impact on tennis players across our country.
It means everything. Bianca winning Indian Wells, Bianca winning Rogers Cup in Toronto, you couldn't buy that kind of publicity or that kind of inspiration. It inspires everyone to pick up a racket, whether it's kids or adults. It has an impact on our sport right across the country, and I was at an event the other day where there weren't a ton of tennis fans, and they were all asking about Bianca. Everybody's talking about Bianca.
The Ontario and federal governments have reached an agreement on jointly funding a proposed French language university. The two governments issued a statement last night saying they've signed a memorandum of understanding that formally commits them to working together to establish the school. It says a joint working group will be established to figure out the funding details and timelines. The school is expected to be located in southwestern Ontario and will take about 8 years to complete. The country's biggest public sector union could stage a strike right after the October election. The Public Service Alliance of Canada had gone back to the bargaining table on September 1st and was sounding optimistic as late as Friday, but Treasury Board negotiators failed to produce an adequate wage offer and have not met union demands for compensation for federal employees affected by the government's failed Phoenix pay system. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is borrowing another idea from U.S. President Donald Trump, a law requiring video cameras at polling stations. Netanyahu wants to pass the law ahead of next week's vote, but opponents are calling the move racist. He says he's introducing the measure to prevent fraud in Arab voting stations, but it could have a tough time passing through Parliament on short notice. However, it's viewed as an effective campaign tool for the candidate to motivate his supporters. Demonstrators in Hong Kong marched to the U.S. Embassy today, urging President Donald Trump to liberate their city as they press for more democratic freedoms in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. Trump, however, has indicated the U.S. will stay out of a matter he considers between Hong Kong and Beijing. The initial demonstrations were triggered by a proposed law that would have allowed the extradition of criminal suspects to China. That law has since been withdrawn, but the move failed to appease the demonstrators. Tom Hanks was in attendance this weekend at the Toronto International Film Festival for the world premiere of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. In the film, Hanks plays the iconic children's TV host, Mr. Fred Rogers. With a reputation as one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, Hanks joked about why he's the perfect guy for the role.
Do you feel that way? And do you see a lot of similarities in his faith and all of that stuff?
I think it's because I was such a caring executioner in the Green Mile, and I killed just the right amount of Nazis in Saving Private Ryan.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
It doesn't have to be a beautiful day, but in all honesty, though, there is something about that opening phrase that it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it's always because we're together.
We all know there's great division in society in many aspects, and sometimes it just takes someone to go, you know what, you don't just be nice to each other, you have to work at it. It's something you have to commit to as an effort. And so if that's a message to be taken out there, so much so the better, I think.
I found Fred Rogers to be extremely remarkable in his understanding, in his inclusiveness of people, in his gentleness, and Lord God, we could use that now, you know.
Tom seems the perfect person to play him.
Well, just about the only one, only guy that could play him, and it's not an impersonation by any means, but boy, it really comes through. The feel of it really comes through.
Recapping one of our top stories this hour, hundreds of thousands remain without power in the Maritimes as a somewhat weakened Hurricane Durian now heads towards Newfoundland. And a look at weekend weather. Things are going to get cool and damp over the next few days. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a low of 10. For tomorrow, expect 5 to 10 millimeters of rain with a high of only 14. Sid Roth is the host of the popular television program It's Supernatural, which documents healings and miracles. Do these things still happen today? Hal Roberts has this fascinating interview coming right up. But first, here's a look at what's happening in and around your community.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. Are you going through divorce or separation? Find support and encouragement with Divorce Care, a support group that will be meeting weekly beginning Tuesday, September 10th at City Light Church from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Cost is $30 for the workbook. For more information, visit divorcecare.org or call John and Sandy Dick at 403-892-7046. It's the 39th annual Lethbridge Terry Fox Community Run, taking place Sunday, September 15th at the Civic Center track, featuring special guest Fred Fox. Registration begins at 11 a.m. with the run at noon. No entry fee is required. Participants are welcome to walk, run, rollerblade, and cycle. For more information, email lethbridgeterryfoxrun@gmail.com or register online at terryfox.ca. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.